Okay, I'm going to do a quick video showing how to draw some just basic shapes used for furniture. I've got a customer we met with at the IWF show that builds commercial booths and seating. So she wanted to see how Cut2DPro would work because that's probably all she needs. She's not looking at doing any engraving, anything like that. Then doesn't need the advanced features of importing 3D objects, STLs, anything like that. Just cutting parts. So 4x8 sheet, half-inch material, could be 3/4, whatever she wants to do. Touching off on the top of the material, bottom left-hand corner as our orientation point. So basically, what I'm going to do is just draw some shapes. Um, that we're going to end up locking together. I'm assuming she does a lock fit joint. I don't know. Um, but I'm just going to take this part. I'm going to go to node mode by hitting the right selecting it and hitting the right button and going to node mode. And I want to add a point, insert a point. And then I'm going to delete this point by hovering on top of it and hitting the D key to delete. And I'm going to make this into an arc of some sort. Just this is the shape of an end piece of the a piece of plywood, a seat that's going to be covered with fabric and foam and upholstery. I'm going to do a half-inch by half-inch block, the thickness of our material, and I'm going to stab a couple of them across here. Whatever. And I could have placed them using the XY coordinates, but I'm just eyeballing it. So then I'm going to take these. I'll take all of them because they're all centered on the. So grab those two. I'm going to hold down the Shift key to add to that selection. I'm just going to nudge them out of the way using the left arrow key. And I want to get them on that edge. So now that they're close, I'm going to grab them again and double click on it. And then I'm going to nudge it over until they snap. You may not have seen that with the video, but they did. I didn't do this one, so I'm going to grab it, double click on it, pull it away, and then drag it over and it should snap. Over here. There we go. Now it's snapped to it. So then I'm going to highlight these. Oh, I'm going to touch this and then these and subtract them. So now it's got the notch. So I've got that selected. Then I add these to the selection by holding down the Shift key and subtract. Do the same thing. I'll make some notches on this with the same little size that we had before. And I'm just going to center it. Bang, bang, bang. I don't care about spacing. I'm just showing a process. Select them, nudge them out of the way. They're all selected. Double click on it, and then I'm going to drag it. And if I go to it, on it, like right here, it snaps nicely. And because they were all selected, they're all done. So I'm going to select the part, select the individual parts that I want to subtract, and there they are. And we'll do the part again, and this, and subtract. Make another one of these by doing Control C, Control V, which is copy and paste. It just did it on top of it, so I'll do another one by grabbing it, Control C, Control V, and then just nudging it out of the way. We'll make another little part, whatever, some braces on the bottom. And Control C, Control V. Nudge it away. Again, this isn't a sofa, but this is an idea of what could be. So the idea is that that's the left one. They make both left and right. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and this could be booth 100. It's a series or a model number they have. So we had ones for booth 106. So I'm going to go to their company and I'll create a new folder. And this would be booth 100. Whatever they name their product. I'm going to save it to that folder. Go up directory to 100. I clicked on it inadvertently. And this is going to be called booth 100. Now, they make lefts and rights, so that was one of the questions she had is, I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it. And this is the way I would do it. It's not right or wrong, it's just the way I would do it. So I'm going to mirror the selected items to the right. I'm going to flip about the center and create a mirror. So I'm going to have both a left and a right set. I'm going to take this new set and just drag it out of the way. And I'm a very visual person, so this is how I think. So when it's time to nest this, I'm going to save it one more time to update it to the left and right. And if I take an order, I'm going to open up booth 100, which is this file, and then I'm going to save it as the purchase order number. So for PO 1234, whatever, 1245 is what I actually typed. And I'm going to have two of the lefts. I'll highlight this, do the nesting, and I'm going to specify my tool diameter as 1/4 of an inch. I want 3/4 of an inch between my parts and 1 inch for my border gap because of the way I'm holding down my materials. I'll let it rotate the parts in up to 45-degree increments. This is all going to be foamed and upholstered, so I don't care about grain direction at all. So I've got this highlighted. I want, say, 2 of these and apply, and it puts the numbers there. And then I'm going to come over here. I'm holding down the shift key, and I'm going to grab this, and I want 3 of these, and apply. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have held down the shift key. It's done. Then be adding to the selection. So that's got 3. I'm going to change this to being 2 rather than 3 and apply. So if I highlight these now, it shows me I'm going to do 2, and this I'm going to do 3. That's what I want. So I want to select everything that I want to do. I want 2 of these and 3 of these, and then I preview. So then I should have 5 of each part. So 5 of the large pieces. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, 3 of each for the smaller pieces. So I've got 2 panels. So I've got this panel loaded up, and then this panel only using the bottom third or so. So there's a couple different ways that you can control this. I would often take this and double click on that so that's the active panel and draw a line across it just to clean it up. And I'm going to cut that. Modify the size to fit. And I'm going to cut that apart. So then I'll have a squared off panel and I'll just use this as waste. And then this will be re-inventoried and off we go. So I've done my work. I'm going to file save it just to update the, now I've got it nested. And then I'll go to the active panel, click on this, it takes a second to switch. Then I'm going to cut all the way through it. So I'm going to just go do a profile cut. That would be the thickness of the material plus 20 thousandths. So the T, the thickness plus 0.020 equals. And I'm going to use a 1/4 inch tool. That looks good. I'll look at my feeds and speeds. Probably cut that at about 150 inches per minute. 50-inch plunge, 16,000 RPMs. That should be good. Depends on what materials they're using, what the core looks like. But that's something we have to play with and get dialed in based on what materials you're using. We're going to be outside the line. I could do a separate last pass to have an absolutely clean edge with no witness lines with the different depths of cut, but probably not important in this case, but we'll just do it anyway. How I'm going to hold the parts down. I'll add tabs and edit them. I'll do 3D, and I haven't selected any vectors yet, so I have to select them all now, edit tabs, and I'm going to do 4 tabs per. Add tabs. Again, these are going to be foamed over, so it's not a big deal. And we're good. We look at the tabs, everything looks fine. They're trying to put them on straight lines. They had to put them on curves here, but that's okay. Now I could move them by manually coming in and holding down the left button and dragging it a little bit to here. And so it's a little bit on a straighter edge, but again, this is going to be foamed and have fabric over it, so I'm not going to worry about it. The issue is cleaning the tabs up. We don't want to have to spend much time doing it. So I'm going to ramp in along the cut line. I do circular lead in and lead outs. It's just not important on these parts because they are going to be covered and cut. So I'll call this profile cut out with a 0.25 end mill. Calculate. And it's once it's going to cut through the material, one or more of the leads were clipped or removed, and that's okay. Basically, it's saying that it couldn't because I had told it to do. Got it. I kicked it on, but I don't know what I had it telling it to do. So I said add leads, and this was a circular lead, and so it's not going to have room to do some of these because of the. So I'm going to turn it off and just recalculate. But it didn't have the room because of the spacing between the parts to get in there and do a circular lead in with that geometry. So if I turn the leads off, did it no problem. It's going to do the ramp in on the vector lines, and off we go. So to reset the preview, preview all, and there it is. And then and that's assuming these parts could fit against into these notches could fit into these notches, and they'd be clean. And then whatever other parts that they had. Now, if those notches are too loose, the way to do that is not redraw everything. There's no need to do that. You can just come into this cutting profile again. We've already defined, and we can do an allowance offset. So I can do a 10 thousandths offset. Now, what this will do, if we look at it with the 2D view, and then turn on the tool pathing. And let it do its thing. We don't care about looking at it. Okay, so what it's doing here is it's showing that this was the first pass, this was the 20 thousandths finishing allowance. But if we turn on the blue lines, I've got the whole thing now coming away from my vector by 10 thousandths of an inch, which means it's going to be 10 thousandths here and 10 thousandths here. So I'm 20 thousandths smaller in this notch. So if I want to clean up that gap and take away some slop, that's how I do it, just with a quick adjustment here in the finishing cut allowance. I mean the allowance offset, sorry, not the finishing cut. The allowance offset right here. So that's coming 10 thousandths of an inch away from that line. Now I could go the other direction too. If it's too tight and I can't fit it, I can do a negative value. It warns me, and then we're going to have it see it overcut. Now it's going to be outside, and it's overcutting, so that's making that a bigger gap. So that's how you clean up these slip joints. It's very quick and very easy based on the materials that you have. You don't have to redraw it because we're only talking about 10 thousandths of an inch here. It's doubled because it's on both sides of that cutout. So very simple, easy to do, happy to teach. I'm Eric Schiller with Yeti Tools Southeast. That's YetiSmartBench.com. 205-871-6618. Thanks.